In today's Leeds news, Leeds goalkeeping update, youths involved in first team training, more Morita noise, award nominations across the board, and Ampadu focused on league task. Hey folks, welcome to the Leeds View for Friday the 1st of May with your Leeds United news. Hope you've all had a really good week so far. Massive game tonight for Leeds United against Burnley. We have got a watch along over on bigup.com starting at 7:30 tonight. The predictions are also available for that. If you want to get involved in our predictions game, you can do that. If you don't want to do that and you want to just have a chat with us afterwards on the instant match reaction, make sure you download Finalysis, the link down below, or the QR code in that corner down there. If you want to get involved in the channel's player ratings, just give me a follow on that as well, and then you can get involved in our channel player ratings, which we'll share tonight after the match, as well as on the review of it this weekend before we go into a podcast early next week and have a chat about that. So you can get involved in all that stuff if you want it. It's fairly light on the ground, as would be expected from a match day, but there's a few little bits and pieces of cleaning up work to do, as well as some more noise around Hidemasa Morita, which it just isn't going away, that story. And if anything, it's gathering a little bit of pace. But we'll start off today with Leeds United's goalkeeping situation heading into the summer, and comments from Daniel Farke. Leeds' entire goalkeeping department has a massive question mark around it heading into this summer. Illan Meslier, as we know, is going to leave the club on a free transfer. Carl Darlow and Alex Cairns are both out of contract, and nobody knows what the situation is around Lucas Perry at this moment in time. Whether he wants to leave, whether he wants to stay, whether Leeds want to move him on, it's very much up in the air at this moment in time. But there's a piece in the Yorkshire Evening Post today from chief sports writer Graham Smith, which has explored this a little bit and had a deeper look at it and delved into Daniel Farke's comments, who, as we know, you need to read between the lines. On some of his press conference, he does like to leave little breadcrumbs along the trail for people to jump onto. But Farke doesn't want to discuss transfers, contracts, anything until this season's goals have been achieved, which is a very sensible approach. And financially, it's the only approach Leeds can probably take at this moment in time. They can't talk about extending any deals until they know guaranteed what division they're going to be in next season. But Farke didn't hold back, though, talking about Carl Darlow, and had very, very high praise for him. And a bit of praise for Lucas Perry as well, it should be said. And speaking on the topic, he said the following. Like I said about the future, we'll just speak once everything is confirmed about futures, about the recruitment, about goalkeepers, outfield players, staff members, whatever. But how much I trust Carl and value Carl, you could tell by the fact that he was in the crunch time last season, and in that right now, in such a period, my number one goalkeeper. Also keeps out a highly rated player like Lucas Perry, who has been impressive in the Cup with some decent performances. I think Carl was fantastic in the last weeks and last months, but to be honest, since the first day I worked with him, not just performances on the pitch, but also how he is as a human being. As Smith points out, we do have to read between the lines when it comes to Daniel Farke, but we all know Daniel Farke is very big on trust, and Carl Darlow is clearly somebody he trusts quite a lot, and that says an awful lot, and it makes perfect sense. And it does seem apparent that once Leeds are confirmed as a Premier League side for next season, Carl Darlow will very, very likely get a new contract. And the Lucas Perry stuff as well, I mean, there's praise from there. Maybe Lucas Perry just needed a year to acclimatise to life in England before we start to see the best form from him. He was very, very highly rated in Lyon. He was very, very highly rated in Botafogo. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with him. But that will likely sit with the player if he wants to fight for his position at Leeds next season, or if he wants to get a move away from the club to guarantee himself first team football. So that one will likely just rumble on a little bit. But it'll be nice to see Carl Darlow get a very deserved extension to his contract at Leeds United and be part of the squad heading into next season. You don't want to have all your goalkeepers gone and starting from scratch all over again. So anyway, we'll move on. Have a chat about some youth involvement in the first team training, and Leeds might not have fielded any under 21 homegrown players this season in the Premier League, and whether that will impact Leeds when that new FIFA rule comes into place further down the line still remains to be seen. But they have been involved in a lot of youth players in first team training over the course of this season, and heading into tonight's game with a couple of injuries around the squad and players who haven't trained this week, they've called on the under 21 players again to step up and step up. They have. Reece Chadwick, Alfie Creswell, Ollie Pickles and Jaden Leniu have all been involved in first team training ahead of the match tonight against Burnley, and all four have had very strong seasons for the under 21 side, an under 21 side that I keep describing as an incredibly young under 21 side with plenty of players in that squad who can play under 18s. They had a really strong start to their season. It got a bit trickier in the second half of the season when a ton of players went out on loan and had to upgrade a lot of the under 18 players into a very difficult league, but they've handled themselves with maturity and professionalism. So Their inclusions are not said to be token inclusions. Daniel Farke was keen to work with the players and have them involved in the first team setup. And Chris Chadwick is someone that Daniel Farke clearly likes. He's worked with him before with the side. He's got 5 goals and 4 assists in the EPL2 this season. Alfie Creswell has also been involved in first team training over the course of this year, and he's taken to life in that new midfield role pretty easily for him. 4 goals and 2 assists in his season so far this year. And he's captained the under-21s as well. Ollie Pickle's defensive numbers this season have been very, very impressive. He's recorded 47 tackles and 23 interceptions in the Premier League too, with some very high energy performances called out as well. Dayton Lenu, since he's come in from Manchester City, has been in very impressive form for the under-21s and has been a fantastic addition. And with Gabby Goodmunson out injured, Dayton Lenu is offering Leeds a little bit of cover in that left-back position in training. Now, none of this involvement guarantees any of them involvement in matchday squads. In fact, we've seen Daniel Farke not use the younger players in matchday squads this season, so it's unlikely we'll see them for tonight's game. But the fact that they are involved in that first team training is showing that Daniel Farke does trust them at least to make that step up. And they've got plenty of time for development. They've got plenty of years ahead of them. There's loads of time, but it's great to see them involved in the first team training at this point. Huge for their development. And we'll see if Leeds can get their goals achieved before the end of the season. They might get their first team debuts. You never know what Daniel Farke will do once everything has been confirmed. But yeah, we'll sort that one out tonight, hopefully. Let's move on. As I said about Hidemasa Morita, this story is not going anywhere. And if anything, it is picking up pace and isn't being dismissed by anybody, well, anybody more in the know than there tends to be at this point of the season. There's been more reports coming out of Portugal around Hidemasa Morita. And we know the Daily Mail had the piece earlier this week. And for those who doubt the Daily Mail, they've pretty much been a mouthpiece for Leeds United since the 49ers took over. But they claimed that Leeds United want to bring him in and that he would be open to making a move to Elland Road. According to claims now in Portugal, that's backing up what the Daily Mail have said up until this point. Reports claim that the player is ready to commit to Leeds United once the survival has been guaranteed, and he would offer an awful lot to Leeds, and a lot of the qualities that he does have as a midfielder are being called out at the moment and how they would fit in with Daniel Farke and Leeds' style. Morita has been described as a very capable midfielder, a trophy-laden player, and one of Sporting Lisbon's most consistent players. Another aspect of his game which will definitely appeal to Daniel Farke is discipline. Morita has been labelled as a player who's built his career on reliability and disciplined performances. And we all know, again, going back to that trust factor with Daniel Farke, he likes players to do exactly what they're asked to do. So he would bring an awful lot to the club. He would also bring a winning mentality. He's got 2 Primera Liga titles with Sporting Lisbon, as well as 8 major honours across his full career as well. But as I say, this one's not quieting down. It's not been thrown out by a couple of aggregate sites. It is now starting to get picked up by more major outlets as well. So maybe there's a far more meat on this one than the other transfer stories we tend to hear around this point of the season. But we are getting to that stage of the season where if players have been approached on short lists, you're going to start hearing about them at this moment in time. Whether it's Morita or not, he's a free transfer. I genuinely think it'll be a very clever bit of business for Leeds to get done, but we'll have to keep an eye on it and see where this one goes. Let's move on and talk about some awards. April was a really good month for Leeds United on the pitch when it came to the Premier League. Just the Premier League, well, that's the only one we're going to talk about for now. But it has been very visible in the monthly awards that have come out from the Premier League. Daniel Farke has been nominated as the April Manager of the Month award for a very impressive month of April. He's picked up 8 points in the last 4 Premier League games. Noah Okafor has been nominated for the Player of the Month award for his very strong performances, assists and goals, and very important goals specifically against Manchester United this month. And James Justin has received a nomination for Goal of the Month for his overhead kick against Wolverhampton Wanderers. We all hope the beginning of May is just as fruitful as the end of April was at the Premier League. It will be great to get this month off to a flying start and a hopefully pressureless start if Leeds can get a win tonight. But yeah, well done to all of them. You can vote for them. If you're on X or on Facebook, you can go onto the Premier League's website. Links are there for everybody. You can get involved and try and vote for them to see if Leeds can pick up some awards this month, which would be great to see. Let's move on. Top of the final story of today, and it's Ethan Ampadu and getting focused for tonight's match. So Ethan Ampadu sat down with BBC Radio Leeds Adam Pope with a few topics on his mind. The FA Cup loss was one of them, as well as Leeds United's survival in the Premier League. Ampadu has accepted the disappointment of the Leeds United fan base after the exit from the FA Cup, and he said that the disappointment can linger around the place, but it's important that everybody gets focused on the task at hand heading into tonight. I know there's disappointment in the fans. We feel the emotion the exact same way. We didn't get it done, and now we know what sole focus is. Every game, when it comes to this sort of crunch time, is Massive. They may have wanted to have a cup final to polish off what's been a very decent season to this moment in time, but they have to treat tonight's game like it's a cup final. And they've got to go into this game and bottle up the disappointment from the FA Cup and put it into the right type of performance tonight when they take the field at Ellen Road against Burnley. Leeds have got to start in the right way, and they've got to get everyone on board really, really early and make sure they go for the jugular tonight nice and early. They have to approach this game in one way for me, and that's aggressively. They've got to approach it at high speed. It's got to be fast, relentless. They've got to be in their face and make it really, really uncomfortable for Burnley when they come out onto the field tonight. We've seen Leeds do it. They've started some games really fast this season and made it very difficult for sides, albeit the bigger sides in the Premier League or the top 10 sides in the Premier League. It's against the sides that have been down around us, with the exception of Wolves. The Leeds probably struggled a little bit more. We don't want to see what we saw against Sunderland, a slow build-up from the back, tippy-tappy football out and trying to pass them off the park inside our own half. This has got to be far more high-tempo, far more aggressive and far more relentless tonight from Leeds. And if they can start it in the right way and just go and get it done, win a game of football tonight, get the fans on board. This is the second last home game of the season. It could be a really, really enjoyable end to the season if they can do that tonight and puts all the pressure back on everybody else heading into the weekend. We're first to go, and then we'll see what we face when we go away to Tottenham Hotspur. A point might be enough going into that game to make sure Leeds are guaranteed to be in the Premier League again next season. Then we can start talking about what the future of the club looks like into the summer and what kind of players are going to come in to try and push this squad onto a new height heading into next season and build on what's been a really strong season so far. But they've got to get the job done tonight. It has to start here. As I said, we do have a watch along over on bigup.com starting off at 7:30 p.m. over there. You can check us out if you want it. And if you want to download Finalysis, use the QR code on screen or the link down below in the description. If you want to get involved in the player ratings, which are just fan ratings and not using SofaScore to get the aggregated ratings of players. So you can check that out if you want to. Outside that, I'll see you later on tonight. Back here for the instant match reaction as well. Straight after the game, I'll talk just later on. See you. Bye.